I was asking about the inspections process. And this guy says to me, he goes, I'm not going to lie to you. I've built houses based off of plans I drew on the back of a napkin. Like,
Great.
Right hand to God, he was not BSing me. He drew plans on the back of a napkin once and submitted that to get a permit and was given a permit. Well, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Chicks in Construction. I am your host, Mikki Paradis, and this is my co-host.
Hi, I'm Jessica Abreu.
And we have a delightful homeowner horror. Well, I say delightful. It's honestly terrible. But we do have a homeowner horror story for today. But before that, we're gonna chickie chat. We're gonna chickie chat, and the chickie chat needs to be about obviously the main event. Well, this will be old news for you guys, but it's new news for us because yesterday was the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. And some people call it the Super Bowl, but I call it the Bad Bunny concert that had football intermixed. It was a mixy moo, and I was like, Bad Bunny, yes.
Yeah, no, I watched the Super Bowl and I was excited for it because my team, the Patriots, I know they did terrible, were in it. But I mean, they blew it, which is fine.
That poor quarterback.
I mean, I still love Drake May.
If he got sacked one more time, I hope they did a brain scan because that kid got rocked.
I know, poor thing.
Apparently, he's like from Chapel Hill.
No, he's from Huntersville.
Where?
Huntersville? Huntersville? Yeah. North Carolina. Yeah, they both
looks a little bit more Huntersville than Chapel Hill. I don't know what that means, but
yeah, and his wife is too. Like
it's a little bit more country. Like Chapel Hill's like a little bit more. I'm gonna say, for lack of better words, it's like a yuppie-ish, and maybe that's not the right word. It's like I don't know. Listen. Chapel Hill gives me pinkies up vibes.
Pinkies up,
so,
okay.
This guy was not giving pinkies up vibes, and so I was a little confused.
Yeah.
But in Huntersville, I don't know where that is, but I'm guessing they don't do pinkies up there.
I don't think so.
Listen, we just went in a whole direction. If you're from Huntersville and you do pinkies up, forgive us.
Yes,
or me. Jess wasn't part of that problem.
Like, I don't know what's happening.
Don't roll me into this.
Not my fault.
Don't come for her in the comments.
But just getting to the Super Bowl was amazing because last year they only won 4 games.
Oh, wow. They really turned it around
turned it around this year. So like they should be proud of themselves for getting there, and then they choked. It's fine.
Yeah,
it's all
fine.
Happens.
Didn't Carolina do that like many moons ago?
I mean, I
remember one time we went to the Super Bowl and I was like, really? We did? We're going? And then we lost real bad. And it was like, that actually tracks.
Yeah. I didn't think that we were going to win, but I was hoping that we would score before the fourth quarter. But they tried real hard at the end. They did.
It's funny because we don't watch the sports. Me and Hector are not sports watchers. We prefer to watch random things on YouTube, like some British guy that likes to fix cars in his garage. We're into that. We're mostly not into the sports. It's not a thing.
See, like I'm not going to watch some British guy fix a car.
Oh yeah, it's interesting. He used to be a BMXer and he started like just fixing cars in his like literal, not garage, just his driveway. And now he is like multi-millionaire just from fixing cars on YouTube
with his special trash and his love of fixing cars and like toilets because he has spare parts.
Toilets, special. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Hector has actually talked about that. Callie, which is my pocket bully.
Yes.
And she's a whole lot, you guys. She's a whole lot. And that's Hector's girlfriend. So Callie and Hector. Callie tries to push me out of the bed. And I'm like, I will cut you. And then I will pay for your vet care, but I will cut you. So you better watch yourself. Last night, she was literally trying to push me out of the bed with her tiny little T-Rex arms. She's like 43 pounds, but her arms are, I'm not kidding you, they're 6 inches long. Yeah. Max 6. She cannot scratch anything on her body. She can't reach anything. But that's his little girlfriend. So he, at an auction, bought some special trash.
Of course.
It's called a casita. And it's like this tiny little travel trailer, like a camper.
Okay.
And Hector bought this thing knowing full well there was 0% chance that Mikki Paradis.
I was going to say, so are you going to go
ever getting in this thing?
Oh, come on. I would pay money to see that.
Absolutely not. I camper that I have used a total of one time that I fully renovated to be the most bougie camper you've ever seen in your life. I used it once. We went camping. It was terrible. I was like, this was
where's
total
your
garbage. It's at the Youngsville house.
That's for the special trash.
It's a special trash graveyard. So like he buys this little casita and he goes, babe, I've got an idea. And I'm like, tell me the idea. He goes, I'm going to renovate this camper. And I'm going to call it the Callie Casita. And I'm going to take Callie with me and we're going to go on camping trips. And I'm going to start a YouTube channel of just me and Callie camping. And I was like, wow. I didn't even get asked. Like, he didn't even ask if I wanted to go camping. It was like, he just knew. He's like, she's absolutely not going to go.
That's hysterical.
But Callie is down for whatever.
Yeah.
She's going to have Hector's doing it. Callie's there. She's like
amazing.
100%.
I mean, I would watch
100%.
that. but he has to show that you want no part of it, because like that's what makes it.
It has to be me like ushering them out the door to be like, bye, have a great weekend. Like I just can't. I was like, I honestly think it would be enjoyable to watch though, because like Callie is a ridiculous creature.
She is. She's like the other day,
God.
When I went to Mikki's house to do some stuff, and Callie comes up with her little dog toy.
Yeah.
And she's like this high off the ground.
Yeah.
So she's near my knee.
Yeah, barely.
And she's like, here's my toy. Here's my toy. Here's my toy. And I'm like, okay, do you want to get, because I don't have dogs, so I have no idea what to do.
Jess is with dogs the way I'm with kids. I'm like, oh, do I touch you? What do I do with you?
Do you want to give me the toy? Because I don't want you to bite me, but it looks like you're trying to get, so I take it.
And Callie was devastated. She's like, no, this isn't the game.
No, that's not what I want. And then she's like pawing at me. I was like, okay,
give it back. Give it back.
Here, have it back. And she runs away and she comes back and she's like, hey, look at this. I have a toy. I was like, it's the same freaking thing.
Same freaking thing.
It's great.
Oh, yeah. And so the thing I had to tell Jess, I had to clue Jess in. And this is something we've done. Like, we've done this with her. She wants you to be very impressed with her toy. So whenever Callie comes into the room with a toy, Hector goes, wow, look at that toy. Wow. So now if you don't say, wow, Callie, look at that toy, she won't leave you alone. And then when you do, you have to do it 5 times until she feels like properly praised. Mm-hmm. Like you have truly appreciated
her toy,
the greatness of this toy. Then she's like, all right, thank you. I shall go and chew on this toy.
I did not do it well because she
was not
there.
Impressed.
Oh, she would have the toy in her mouth, and like we were talking, and she's like pawing at my foot.
Excuse me, this is
hello.
Important. This is important.
I have a toy. You have not noticed my toy.
You've not properly acknowledged my toy, and I will not leave you alone until you do. It was a whole thing. She's a whole thing.
And then Prime threw up almost on me on my way out.
Oh my God, that was so bad. That was another $1,200 vet visit. People don't understand. I talk all the time. I'm like, listen, like Alyssa, my niece, she lives with us. She's 22. And I'm like, listen, dogs are great. And I think everybody should have a dog, but you start with a small dog until you have stupid, and like, listen, don't get it twisted. I don't have stupid amounts of money, but I'm just never going to retire because I made the choice to get a 200-pound dog, and they are so expensive. Like, our food bill is $1,000 a month. And then he goes to the vet and it's guaranteed $1,000. Yeah. This time it was almost $1,200. And I was like, I quit.
Yeah. And big dogs, they have big amounts of
everything.
Vomit.
Yeah,
it was like
he did almost throw up on Jess's shoe.
Yeah, and I'm out. Oh.
Yeah, it was so horrifying. I was like, okay, bye. Go out the door. Let me deal with this. Like, go get the wheelbarrow to clean this up. It was terrible.
I would just thrown out the rug.
Yeah, no, as a Hector, I'm the vomit cleaner because Hector does sympathy vomiting, and he no matter who it is, he does sympathy, so he can't clean up the voms. It's a Mikki job. And I'm like, great.
There we go.
So we're going to get into the story. I'm going to preface this one with when I shared this story with Jess. So I was talking to a potential guest and she was like, we're talking about homeowner horror stories. And she's like, have you heard about this guy in Chatham County? she was like, it's all over the news. He actually has his own YouTube channel to talk about the things that happened and like the status of everything. He has a Facebook page. She was like, have you heard of the story? And so I hadn't. I looked it up. Oh my gosh, it is wild. I actually reached out to him and had a couple email exchanges with him just to like clarify information and get updates because there hadn't been any updates in like a year. But when I sent this to you, Jess's response was like, this kind of contradicts some of the things that we're always preaching about. And one of the things that we're always preaching about is the importance of getting inspections and the importance of like doing your research. And what this story shows you and why we're sharing it with you, even though it kind of does go against, I don't want to say goes against, but maybe in some ways goes against the things that we've shared, is the importance of understanding all of the potential variables. So
nothing is necessarily like black and white.
Right.
Like,
there is so many shades of gray. And I feel like this is probably, and as the podcast evolves and we get more stories, there might be worse stories, but I don't know.
I mean, this and the one where like there's not a house and they spent like
that last one that we found, like,
they're both bad.
And so I'm like, I think the channel is really just going to turn into like true crime construction edition.
Yes. We're going to dig in and like find out all the dirt.
We're going to just start being like, listen, we're naming names. This one we're naming names on because one, it's all over the internet. The news has covered it on multiple occasions. It's apparently according to the guy, the homeowner, other podcasters have talked about it. And
so nobody's anonymous, so I don't have to worry.
Nobody's anonymous. And the builder that he used and sued lost the lawsuit. So look, it's public record at this point. So we naming names today. Naming names. So listen, guys, we are trying to up our game. We're stepping our game. We have a script. I don't know how it's going to go.
A loosely based, this is what you should try to get through.
We're trying really hard.
We're trying
so hard.
Stay focused.
That's stay focused. The word of the year.
Focus.
So, okay. This one is similar in a sense to the one where hundreds of thousands of dollars have been spent and not recovered. It's based out of Chatham County here in North Carolina, which is in like the Pittsboro, I think also, isn't Carborough also Chatham County?
You were asking the person who just moved to North Carolina 4 years ago.
It's Chatham County, which is like a county over. So it's close for us. And it is wild. We're going to get into it. But hundreds of thousands of dollars and literal years of legal battles are what we're looking at.
So this is about Jake and his family. They moved into their home in June 2020. So what a terrible time to move.
Oh God, yeah.
Remember those days? They believe that they had done their due diligence, vetting the contractor, checking references, and even visiting completed homes that the contractor had built. So doing all the things that we say that you're supposed to do.
We literally say, hey, he did all the research. That's why part of this story is so hard, because I cannot find a single thing that he did that was like, oh, that was the red flag that you should have known. The major mistake. Because even like the one red flag that I feel like is there, I don't think your average homeowner would have any idea that this is a sign of bigger things.
Gotcha.
And so just so you guys, this has been going on for over 5 years. I wanted to make sure we referenced that. So like Jess said, they go out, they find this GC, they did all the things, they checked with previous home builders or previous home buyers, they walked through houses that he had done. The one distinction that Jake mentioned was that everything that they had done were just really small ranch homes. And so what he wanted to build was a 2-story house that sat out on a foundation, a raised foundation, not a slab. So everything that he had done previously that he had seen and that he had toured was like what they call it is slab on grade. So it's like where they grade the lot, they put in the undergrounds, and then they pour just a concrete slab, and that's what the house is built on. So he wanted to build, an actual raised foundation where the house is like built on that. Structurally, there's a lot more that goes into that structurally than when you're building slab on grade. One of the things that was that red flag was while they were in the middle of building, the actual foundation failed. And I saw a picture of it. So like when you're building a raised foundation, you dig out. And depending on how it all goes, it's like a 12 by 12. It depends on what the engineer specifies, but you dig out the foundation, you pour that with concrete, and then you build with bricks or blocks up, and that's where you put your structural framing members, and they sit on the pillars and the structural members that you have in place that you kind of in that underground. So they start to build up. They normally, like, once all the concrete is in and all the block work is done and the pillars and the posts are in, they'll then backfill that area with gravel a lot of times. Sometimes they don't, sometimes they do. It just depends. Higher end homes, normally they will backfill that with gravel. So I saw the picture of when the actual foundation walls failed. The CMU block just literally collapsed over.
What is a CMU?
CMU is like a concrete block.
Okay.
So a lot of times they'll use the concrete block to build up, and then they'll put brick or brick veneer so it doesn't look kind of cheap. But most of the time your foundation is like a CMU block. It's a concrete block. So that is supposed to have, depending on how your engineer designs it, it's supposed to have rebar or like
something in it,
metal pieces in there to hold
the structure,
in the brick to the poured concrete that's kind of underneath where the concrete block is.
That makes sense. We did a concrete pool and they had rebar in there to keep the structure. Yeah.
What he didn't know, because why would he if he's not in construction, is the fact that that wall fell over meant that there was not the proper rebar or the proper brackets, or it wasn't tied in appropriately. And he didn't know that's what that foundation falling over meant.
If the foundation of a home that I was going to live in fell over before anything else was put on it, I would think that would be like, let's stop. The problem was like the picture that I saw, like when the foundation failed, the house was already built. It was like in the, it wasn't
like, no, it wasn't like, the foundation fell while it was like the weight of the house went on and then the foundation fell.
Oh, okay. Well, then you're up.
You're kind of up a creek without a paddle. Yeah. So
jinx.
So it was a partial collapse, and that was kind of the first major red flag. So the builder kind of plays it off like it's not that big of a deal.
No, your house is just falling down. It's fine.
That shit happens. We'll fix it. It's fine. Don't complain about things. And they move in so that they finish what's crazy about this is like 99% of our homeowner horror stories are, and then they never finished the house and I had to bring somebody else in to finish it. And like in this story, that would have been the best case scenario for this guy if that builder just walked because he would have realized before the house was complete that there was major issues going on. So they move into the house. And they started noticing, like all houses settle. So one of the things that I don't know if how much we know about this, but we don't dry wood out the way we used to back in the day. Like there's such a high demand for lumber that it doesn't get dried out the way that it used to. So all wood that they're building with is still a little wet. So there is a period of settling, especially in North Carolina, because we have these wildly hot summers, and then some, like this winter is so cold. There's a lot of contraction and expansion that happens as the temperature changes, especially for wood that hasn't been fully dried. So when you buy a new house, it's not super uncommon for you to get nail pops and for you to get some settling and some cracks in the drywall, but it's really minimal. What was happening in this house, the floors were buckling. So it started with them noticing that there were dips in the floor that were up to 3 inches difference. So he put a level on the floor, and there was 3 inches of play of how it was moving. The cabinets started coming off the walls because the house was moving so much that the cabinets were staying in place, but the framing itself was moving. The doors weren't latching because the door frames were twisting so much that it wasn't catching the latch plate. And so he goes to the builder and he's like, hey, something major is happening in the house. Can you come out? And the builder just doesn't respond. He doesn't respond to anything. He's just like, oh, it's settling. It's fine. We have a 1-year warranty. Right. No big deal. So this guy eventually reaches out to the county. So mind you, this was all above board. So he knew it had all the inspections. The builder was licensed. Like everything was above board. He goes to the county inspections and he says, listen, we're having some real problems with our house. I would like to schedule a courtesy inspection to have somebody come out and look at what's going on with our house. And that's where, when we always talk about the importance of having inspections and how the inspections exist to protect you. In this case, the exact opposite happened. So he goes to the county and he says, listen, something's going on. Can't get the builder to come out and look at it. Can you come inspect my house? I paid for all these inspections. Right. You passed it. What's going on with my house? So they come out, they inspect the house, and kind of just tried to not answer him. They tried to just be like, we did inspect it. So he goes out and gets a third-party engineer. Engineer comes in and is like, this is major. So none of the house, the framing, the structural framing was to code. Oh. There was no less than 30 code violations in a brand new house that had just been inspected by Chatham County inspections. All the inspections passed. None of it was structurally sound. So they literally had structural walls that were not sitting on anything that could support the house, the structure of those walls. And this was it was a 2-story house. So you've got a massive amount of load that's sitting on those structural walls. Yeah. And there's nothing supporting it. So the house was literally just crumbling in. So what's wild is this guy, his name is Jake Molback. He starts putting pressure on the county. He starts saying, okay, listen, what's going on?
So once the home is occupied and the defects piled up, the contractor referred to as Lindley
Builders.
Lindley Builders.
Yes. Incorporated or something like that. LLC.
All the letters after it, was originally a licensed contractor, but what happened next would change everything. And that's where Jake's legal battle really started. Wild. So he uncovered that the contractor's building permit was issued with homemade, partial, hand-sketched plans, not engineered drawings. So that is dooming it from the start, because like I can't be out here drawing a picture like my patio.
Like your patio. So listen, I was looking at land in the mountains in North Carolina a couple years ago, and I was talking to different people, because I know how to build a house on flat land. I don't know enough about building a house on not flat land. So I had a lot of questions. And so I was reaching out to a lot of different people, and I was asking about the inspections process. And this guy says to me, he goes, I'm not going to lie to you. I've built houses based off of plans I drew on the back of a napkin. Like, great. Right hand to God, he was not BSing me. He drew plans on the back of a napkin once and submitted that to get a permit and was given a permit.
So many questions.
So like what? And the reason why that matters is because the plans, like I say this all the time in construction, the plans are our Bible. We build everything off of the plans. Everything, even in drywall, when I'm estimating, I spend so much time reading through the plans because the plans, they supersede everything. They tell us how everything goes. They tell us where everything goes. They are the Bible. Everything is referred to the plans. When there's a question, what do the plans say? It's biblical. So the fact that there were plans drawn, but there was not somebody to say, okay, you have to calculate load. You have to calculate span. There is so much that goes into the production, especially of the structural set of the plans. Right. It is very high level. Architects and engineers are licensed for a reason.
And like, that's what I was going to ask. Like, shouldn't it have been an engineer or an architect that drew up the plans
and
for
they
this?
Should be required to be stamped. Like, that's the other thing. I know that for renovations where you're not moving anything structural, I'm pretty sure you can get away with not having stamped structural plans because the county isn't going to take the legal responsibility that, you know, this has been calculated correctly. So they want to make sure that that an engineer or an architect has done all the words and some numbers and made sure that like this house is not going to collapse on itself.
Right.
That did not happen here. It's a huge deal.
Yeah. And so then the county inspector responsible for overseeing inspections, who is Danny Gunter, he ended up being terminated from his position, and his supervisor was demoted. And the state fire marshal's office blocked him from ever recertifying due to gross negligence.
Right.
Because like, so somebody comes in with like this piece of paper with a fancy drawing, and you're like, yes, that's
like, build it. Here's your permit. And then they proceeded to inspect the house based off of hand-drawn plans. And then we're shocked when there was a wild amount of code violations. And that's the part to me that I'm just like, just to like back this up a second. Well, I will say, when you are building a new construction home, I felt like it went without saying that like whatever drawings you have, you have to make sure they were drawn by an architect. And I know that a lot of general contractors, I have done this myself, have drawn, this is what I want the house to look like. I've never submitted that for a permit. It's like, okay, I send that to the architect or to the engineer.
And then they take that and make
this make sense. You know, like that's
reality.
Not what I do. I build the thing. You tell me where to put the things to make it safe. So one thing to note in this story is if you're building a new construction house and you're working with a builder and they give you a set of plans, if it does not have a stamp from an architect or an engineer, that is a red flag.
Red flag.
That is a big red flag. And the thing that like, I don't know where we're covering it, but I want to make sure it's mentioned. When this guy reaches out to the permitting office, they start exchanging emails, and they accidentally forwarded him an email that was not meant for him. So they forward him an email thread, and like the stupidity of these people is like, wow.
How do you guys have jobs?
Well, I mean, my God, today. So these two, the guy that got fired and the guy that got demoted, they had a little email exchange going on, and accidentally forwarded that to the homeowner. And in the email, they talk about how the framing was recently done, that it is really bad and probably not structurally sound. And then the one guy says, I think the guy who was like the main inspector was like, but please don't mention that to the homeowner.
Why?
Because they inspected it and gave it the all good and didn't want the homeowner to know that it was really bad. So then the homeowner starts pushing. He wants to know from the people who we thought were the authorities, who were giving all this power over us. We're saying, hey, inspect this. Tell me that I'm safe. Tell me that it's right. He wanted them to say, is my house dangerous or not? So, and this email wasn't sent to them, but it was released in discovery because he ended up suing the county. He ended up suing the builder, but it was released in discovery that there was an email exchange where they were trying to weigh whether they should tell this guy that within weeks his house could collapse. So they were weighing
something that you're going to weigh?
semantics. So he was like, he wants, the email read something along the lines of, he wants to know if the house is safe. I could tell him that at the time of that Larry inspected it, it was not going to fail in that moment. But the truth is, it's a matter of weeks that the house could fail. Now, mind you, this guy has 2 young daughters and his wife all living in this house.
And like, that shouldn't even be something that you consider.
Right.
Is someone's house going to fall down? You tell them.
Like, absolutely. This
how is that not
But
common
all
sense?
they were thinking is, how do we mitigate our responsibility in this? We passed this house. There are no less than 30 code violations in this house that we passed and allowed these people to move in. We didn't hold this homeowner accountable, or not the homeowner. We didn't hold the home builder accountable. And now these people are living in a house that is completely and totally unsafe. And the fact that the county was like, should we tell him and that his kids might die in their sleep? What?
The house just falls down.
Yeah.
And like the contractor, his license was only suspended for
6 months.
6 months. And he had a $5,000 fine and remedial training.
Yeah. So
I'm like, he knows nothing.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be allowed to build a home ever again.
It's absolutely wild. The GC board called the case the worst set of code violations they had ever seen. That's the licensing board in North Carolina said that this was the worst set of code violations they had ever seen, and then gave this guy right back his license.
6 months later.
Back his license. So it's one of those things where it's like, it's funny because on some of the comments on some of our videos, people will who have, I don't know what experiences they've had, but they'll make these comments where like, oh, a general contractor license doesn't matter. And oh, inspectors are this, that, they're not God. And you're right. Inspectors aren't God. And you're right. A license is just a piece of paper that proves that you pass a test. But what are we supposed to do? Like, these things exist as guardrails so that homeowners are trying to hedge their bets to have the best experience that they can.
To have a safe home.
Right. It's like, so the home doesn't collapse on. So it's like these things exist and there should be consequences. And I think the thing that we've learned, especially over the last 2 homeowner horror stories, is that there are not nearly enough consequences. So one thing that I do want to say to the people that watch that feel like it doesn't matter if somebody's licensed and it doesn't matter whether you get inspections or not. You hear the story and you're like, see, I told you. And the point is, this should have never happened. This is a homeowner horror story that should have never happened. These people did the right thing. They hired a licensed general contractor. The licensing board 100% failed this homeowner. That general contractor should have never been allowed to get his license back. Not after 6 months, not after a fine, not after training, never. He should have never been allowed to get his license back because he clearly does not understand how to structurally frame a house, clearly has some kind of relationship with the inspections board.
Yeah.
And should not be allowed to build homes that other people are going to live in. So this is a failure. I want to be clear. This is not only a failure of the licensing board, but it is also a failure of the inspections department. So, so he did take the contractor to court.
And he won, but he didn't get any money.
Nope. So
he has not received a single dollar.
What is wild is when I was exchanging emails with him, and this was in the news. So this, much like that, the I'm gonna find the word. It's here. Much like that land developer guy in Lincoln County, he just didn't respond to the investigation from the North Carolina Attorney General. This guy kind of did the same thing. So the homeowner sues them. The guy just like doesn't participate in the lawsuit. Like he's just like, no, what? Who's that? Who? I never heard of him. So the judge actually gets pissed and is like, okay, here's the deal. I am holding you in contempt of court and you are literally going to have to show up to jail if you don't pay. It was something like $14,000 and some change for like a very small portion of their attorney's fees. And that to date, so they have a 200 and what was it? It was 200 and I think it was $50,000 or $25,000 was the initial judgment that they won. At this point, with all the interest, because he hasn't made a single payment on that judgment, it's $270,000 is what this guy now owes them. And that's not including the $15,000 that he got paid.
And what's wild is that as soon as this judgment came out, the guy who owns the contracting company went out and got a new LLC.
Yep. So he got a new LLC, changed his general contracting license to that company so that people couldn't track the judgment. So that's where we always talk about the importance of researching the actual person in like who's running the company, not just the name of the company. You want to do a deep dive on that person because they could have, like this guy, changed their company name, started a new LLC, and now they're building under a different name. And you wouldn't necessarily find the judgment for the company. You would find the judgment against the person.
Yep. So if they're going to be bad, they're going to be sneaky about it because they're going to keep doing it over and over again. And this contractor has allegedly taken out a $75,000 settlement from a framing subcontractor, but the funds were never accounted for.
So so Jake tells me about this, and I thought this was really interesting. He just learned about this recently. So basically, what happened was the general contractor sued the framing company that they used to frame the house. The framing company settled and paid the general contractor $75,000.
We should have gone to Jake.
Should have immediately gone to Jake, since at the time Jake had a judgment against him. So how this guy's like moving money in a very shady way, like that is currently under investigation. But on top of the fact that this man built a house that was structurally unsound, that engineers said it would cost upwards of $400,000 to $500,000 to fix the house, that they were better off tearing the house down and starting again.
I mean, personally, I would rather have the house torn down and start over again. Yeah. Because is this bad juju in that house?
Yeah, but like if that's all the money you have,
I know. I understand, but I'm just saying, like, if I had endless funds.
Yeah. Endless amounts of money.
I wouldn't want to live in that house that I had to be afraid of that was going to tear down. And like they had bad luck with insurance too. Yeah. Which is because you think, okay, well, I can't go after the contractor. Well, clearly my homeowner's insurance will cover something. But the homeowner and the contractor had their insurance through Farm Bureau. And so both the claims were denied. Farm Bureau said the contractor's insurance didn't cover poor workmanship or negligence, and Jake's homeowner policy claimed that the house defects were pre-existing.
I don't even know how that's possible that they're pre-existing, but we know.
Yeah, so basically, I'm assuming that because they knew that the contractor did crappy work, they can say, like, this is that's a pre-existing thing. Yeah. We're not paying. We're washing our hands of this. And so that's just unfortunate.
It is. And I think the tip for that is if you are in the process of building a home, one of the questions that you need to have for everybody involved is if there is poor workmanship, who is going to pay for it? If we find that there are structural issues with this house later, is there an insurance policy to cover that later? My insurance isn't, and here's the thing, the homeowner's insurance should not be paying for that, because eventually that kind of a claim is going to cost them money. It's not going to cost the builder money.
Well, I'm sure it was like a last ditch effort because they couldn't get the money from the 100%, contractor.
100%. But like making sure that your builder has some sort of liability insurance for poor workmanship is extremely important. I have to carry that kind of insurance for my company. My general contractors require that I carry insurance for poor workmanship. Now, what's interesting is clearly this builder did require his subs to have that kind of insurance because he turned around and sued
them.
the framer and then didn't turn around and pass that money or use that money to fix any of the damages to this guy's house. He just pocketed the money. So on top of the money he made off of building this guy's house that he couldn't live in, he then made another $75,000 on top of that and walked away with it.
Part of me wonders, like, why didn't the homeowner sue the framing company because that was their subcontractor?
I'm assuming because the homeowner wasn't actually under contract with the framing company. The framer was under contract with the general contractor.
Okay.
I mean, they might have, but obviously that happened before he was ever even involved in that.
Yeah, he had no idea.
Yeah.
Shady.
So Jake tried to involve the licensing board. He says that the communication was minimal. The board initially tried to settle behind closed doors without him present, which is insane to me. And only because local news outlets got involved did they agree to actually even have a hearing where he could state, you know, make his complaints and make it clear, like, everything that happened. They were just going to, like, oh yeah, we handled it. No, and he was like, no, I want a public hearing. And it wasn't until Five on Your Side got involved, and this was all over the news, that the licensing board was like, okay, we'll have a hearing. We'll let you say your piece. So the contractor ended up paying a fine, and he ended up getting his license back. Even though Jake's judgment still isn't paid. And I'm like, how in the world is that a thing? That the licensing department knows that this guy was found guilty in court of contract violation. He did not build the house that he said he was going to build, and the courts found that he was at fault. My whole thing is like, listen, I get that mistakes can happen, but he should not have been able to get his license back until that judgment was paid.
No.
Absolutely not.
But you know what they're probably going to say is like, oh, but how is he going to get you the money if he can't work?
Sell a kidney, my guy. I don't care how you figured. Take out a loan. That's not my problem.
McDonald's is usually hiring. I mean, do you want fries with that? Isn't that hard to say?
So here's what, like, this part absolutely kills me. And one of the things that I couldn't find, I know that the laws have changed, and it might have been because of this case, but I don't know if it applies for every county. So he tried to sue the inspections department, as he should.
Right. They failed.
He paid money for a permit. He paid money for them to inspect it. And they didn't do their job. Over 30 major code violations. Like, of course, he should be able to sue the inspectors and the inspections department to help recover those costs, especially
with
because
those emails.
Right.
Should we tell him?
Especially because they were obviously trying to cover it up. They obviously weren't worried about his safety at all.
So annoying.
But when they take it to court, to sue the county about the permits and all that, the judge granted governmental immunity, meaning that the county could not be held liable, which is absolutely insane. Now, I will say, I know of a general contractor that I've worked with that sued a county in North Carolina. It wasn't Chatham, but they sued a county, the inspections department. Well, listen, that's a real life choice, like, especially for a general contractor, because you're more than likely going to have to work in that county again. And I'm not going to lie to you, it didn't go well for that general contractor. But I do know that in certain counties, it is possible. But the fact that they gave this county immunity in blatant disregard for this man's life. Like, they did not care that house could have collapsed on his children's heads.
So, like, where is he living? So, like, he can't live in his house. What is he doing right now? Like, during this whole time, where did he go?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But I do know that they are working on getting the house back, like, to livable condition. And that, so... Well, you talk about the homeowner recovery fund, because we talk about this all the time, and now we have more tea.
Okay, so there is a homeowner recovery fund, and this is meant to help homeowners who lose different things with their home due to negligent contractors. So this is why we say you need somebody that's licensed, because then you can partake in having money from
Having
this fund.
access to the homeowner recovery fund.
You can't if they're not licensed. So like, yay for him for having a licensed contractor. But however, you don't just get to say, this is how much money I need. The fund only allows you to take 10% of what the fund has. So at the time that Jake was saying that he needed some money, there was $600,000 in the fund. So he could only take 10% of that, which is only $60,000, which sounds like a lot of money, but it didn't cover his attorney fees that he was.
It didn't even cover. So they were saying that the cost to repair the house would be somewhere along the lines of $400,000 to $500,000. So $60,000 probably wouldn't even have dealt with like the structural framing members.
I mean, you would need to pay a structural engineer to come and tell you all the things that you actually need done. So there's half of your $60,000. And if he accessed the fund, so if he decided to go ahead and take that $60,000, then he gives up his judgment entirely, meaning that there was no chance of getting money from the contractor and having the contractor be held responsible. So it's like, do I want to wait for the contractor to pay me the $200 and something $1,000, or do I want to just take the $60,000?
Which I did not know that those two things should not be related.
They shouldn't.
So it almost seems to me like, I'm like, this is a little bit of fraud. The homeowner recovery fund now seems like this is a way to keep you from suing the licensed general contractor. Because if they say you have to give up a judgment, or you have if you take this money, then you don't have access to, you can't sue the general contractor. That seems like it's like hush money. It's like, oh, we'll give you this money, but you can't say anything about it and you can't sue anybody and you lose all your legal rights. And I'm like, what?
It should be not or. It should be and.
And the part to me that is just wild is the licensing board is supposed to be protecting the homeowners. They should be making sure that the general contractors are building things to code. They shouldn't be putting practices into place that protect general contractors. If you have done something wrong to the point where a judge, a jury, or whoever has determined that you are at fault, that you violated your contract, that you did not build the house that you were supposed to build, why would the licensing board be protecting that? Get that guy out. You don't want that in your Rolodex of builders who are building here in North Carolina. Like, let them be part of these jack-offs that don't have a license. Let them do whatever they want. You don't want them in your sphere.
No, because then you're constantly going to have to tell them, like, no, that's not to code.
It's insane.
You actually have to. And, like, I wonder, did the licensing board, I'm not the licensing board, did the inspections ever actually go out to the house? Like, it makes me wonder if anybody actually went there to see anything. Because
that's a good question.
How? If it was that bad, how did it pass all those 30 violations? Like, it just makes me think that they're just like, oh, this one, you're good. Keep going.
Right. I think there's a lot. There was suspicions, and these aren't confirmed, but there was suspicions amongst the construction community that the home builder and the inspector were really good friends. So I think that's part of why the guy was terminated, because obviously the inspections department found that this inspector was in clear violation. They found that his boss, who got demoted, was in clear violation. Like, and so it's like the fire marshal that actually determines who licenses or like gives permission for inspectors to be inspectors. They actually refuse to reinstate him. So like somebody somewhere found that the inspector himself was in such blatant violation. How does that not turn around into, okay, we need to make it right with this homeowner? That is the part to me that is like,
it's
this
wild.
Is outrageous. And part of like, it's like when we share this story with you, if you're watching this right now and you're about to build a house, you might be panicked. And
I would be.
As you should be, right? Because this is the worst case scenario. And when I was talking to Jake, he was like, there is so much building that's happening in Chatham County right now, because Pittsboro is in Chatham County, and Pittsboro Village or Chatham Village is one of these huge neighborhoods that is being, it's a Disney neighborhood.
Oh yeah. Oh, yes. I saw that. I was like,
that is in Chatham County. Those are the inspectors that are inspecting the houses in Chatham Village. And it's like, he's like, everybody should be scared. Because if not only did the inspection department allow this to happen, but then they took absolutely no responsibility for it. When the 5 on Your Side team was reaching out to the inspections department and the licensing board, everybody just passed the buck. They were like, oh, this is a terrible situation, but we're not at fault. So, while we feel bad for the homeowner, it's a lessons learned. Again, it was like that consumer protection, buyer beware kind of bullshit. And I was just like, this is this man's entire life savings that is gone.
He was building his dream home and he has
legal
nothing.
recourse. He has a judgment, cannot get the money, has been trying to get the builder to surrender bank documents so they can figure out what assets they can seize. And of course the guy is being shady about it. And there's no way to force this guy to do anything. And that
so terrible.
Is insane. So go ahead.
So after years of experience, Jake's message to homeowners is clear.
Yeah.
Hire a licensed engineer. Use a strong, experienced inspector.
Yes.
At critical points. Don't blindly trust county inspectors to protect you. Get a third party. We've seen, and it makes sense because a lot of contractors are building so many homes, like the builders are doing it. It makes sense that they would know the people that are in those offices. And not that everybody's going to be buddy-buddy, but especially these smaller counties. And understand that legal victories do not always mean financial recovery, which is sad.
And that was the thing that Jake said when we were talking was, they have spent on top of, everything that they are going to have to pay to fix their house to make it structurally sound so it's livable, which is hundreds of thousands of dollars. They've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees that they can't recover because it's not a criminal. So if it was found to be a criminal situation, they could attempt to recover some of their legal fees. But because it's a contract distribution or dispute, thank you. Okay. Contract dispute, that doesn't fall under something that you're allowed to or you're required to seek your legal fees to be recovered. So all of the money that he spent on engineers and specialists and all of the things, that's money that he's never going to see again. And what was so interesting was the end of the 5 on Your Side interview. They had called, I think it was like Joseph Lindley or something. His last name is Lindley, but Lindley Builders. They reached out to him. And the guy says to the 5 on Your Side chick, he's like, listen, he's being dramatic. It's not that serious. It's only like $50,000 worth of work that needs to be done. Okay, well, why don't you take the $75,000 you got from the framer and fix his freaking house instead of hiding it and running? The level of outrage in this story is freaking wild. And the fact that this guy is he's just out of luck. It's like, oh, sorry, guy. Hope the house doesn't fall on you and your kids and your wife.
Right. And then he said that he, as he's been doing this and telling his story, more homeowners who have the same experiences
from the same builder,
and they never pursue them in court. Probably because it cost you so much money to pursue it in court,
only to not get anything back. Even if you have a judgment, if these people are shady as all get out, they're moving money around, and you're never getting your judgment back.
You never. So it's just it's almost not even worth it to go to court, which makes it so that these people can just run amok, and they probably know that because they're shady.
Because they're shady. And that's one of those things where it's researching people to see what kind of judgments they have against them. I would go so far as to put in the contract that I'm signing that because I have to do this, right? For my licensing, for any kind of loans that I'm getting, for my insurance, for all these things that I have to sign my name on, I have to sign and attest to that there are no judgments against me in any state or in any country. So what I'm thinking is, if you're watching this and you're like, oh crap, I'm about to build a house, you want in your contract that this builder claims or states, signs to it, gets a notary, the whole thing, that they have never had a judgments against them, that none of the members of their company have had a judgment against them, whether it be personal or business, under this company's name or any other company's name. Because here's the thing, while that's not going to help you if they actually do have judgments. It's not going to help you if you have to sue them because, again, as we've learned time and time again, you can't get blood out of a rock or you can't get money out of a shady human being. It becomes an issue of a criminal matter because they lied. So that can change the things that you can recover. If they signed an agreement saying there are no judgments against me, there's no judgments against anybody in my company. I've never had a company that did have judgments against them. I've never had a company that filed for bankruptcy or whatever it is. And they signed that, and you can prove that that was the case when they signed it. Now they've lied. Now this could potentially be a criminal matter. So I think it's really important for you to make sure that that's one way you cover yourself. And the other thing that Jake did talk about was the importance of hiring your own structural engineers to do your inspections. Now, listen, that is an added expense.
It is.
But if you even have a question that the builder that you're working with might not know what they're doing. If you had a partial foundation collapse in the middle of your build, maybe it's time to bring out in a third-party inspection. And that should not be necessary. And I'm going to go as far as to say is like, I think that's extreme. Like, you should not be required to bring in a third-party inspection. But if you find yourself in this situation, that's what would have changed the whole game, is if somebody else was inspecting that. Now, I do want to like take a minute to say a caveat here. I have worked with inspectors forever. I have never interacted with an inspector that was this just shady and blatantly disregard for the safety of the occupants. Like, honestly, I've had inspectors that took their job way too seriously. I mean, and when you say that, you're like, how can you take the safety of others too seriously? People can take anything too seriously. Just, search the internet. People can take anything too seriously. So, but I would much rather somebody be taking it too seriously than not seriously enough. So I do want to caveat that in 20 years, I've never come across an inspector that was like, oh, Mikki, I like you, so it's fine that you don't put enough screws in the drywall. Like, absolutely not. No. They're like, hey, Mikki, do better. I'm not passing this until you put more screws in it. That's the way that it should be. So I don't want to like fear monger to everybody that's watching this that, oh my God, the inspectors are all inspectors are shady. This guy was shady. He was fired. His boss was demoted. And hopefully a lot of people learned lessons from this. But it does kind of beg the question, or kind of puts it out into the atmosphere. Okay, if you're dealing with a situation and you don't feel like your inspections are up on the up and up, or you don't feel like your builder is on the up and up, something to consider is a third-party inspector.
Yep. So if you're embarking on a build, protect yourself early. Engineer your plans, understand your permits, verify liability coverage.
Yes.
And never assume insurance or boards will cover you.
And we definitely want to thank Jake Molback. I don't think I said that right. Sorry, Jake. I said your name wrong. We definitely want to thank him for taking the time to respond to us. It was really cool. I'm sure he has a million things going on. And just sending him freaking vibes. To help with his house. One of the things that he mentioned is that they only installed 8 piers in his home, like, which are structural support beams that go in the basement or the crawl space, and they have added 23. So that was the amount of structural support piers that should have been under the house instead of the 8 that were actually put under there. So he is actively working to try to make the house safe again and to stay in that house. And it is just costing him a gajillion dollars. And we do not want this to be your home experience.
No.
Like, building a home is like the American dream, right? Like, that is what everybody is. It's even my dream. And I build houses. So it is the dream. And we want your experience to be a true dream, not a nightmare. We don't want you to have anything similar to what this poor man and his family have gone through. So if you have had please God, may it not be a similar story. But if you have your own version of you're never going to believe what happened, we would love to hear from you. So if you go to chicksandconstruction.com, we have a form right there on the homepage where you can submit your homeowner horror story. And honestly, the more you guys share your stories, the more we are able to share them with our audience so that less people can have the same experience. And I think we all want that for each other. No matter what's happening in the world, if you have had a bad construction experience, like I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. So that ability to kind of share your story and for us to share that for you, we would love if you would write in and share your homeowner horror stories with us.
Yes.
So with that being said, my God, today, wow. I don't even have words for this story. Like,
it's just absolutely insane.
It's horrifying. It is horrifying. And to think of how much faith we put in the licensing board, how much faith we put in inspectors, and to find out that not only do some of them not even care, but like, especially in the case of the licensing board, they're just like, well, it's fine. It's fine. Like, we're just going to give him his license back. And they did the same thing with that guy. And well, it wasn't, I wonder if it was the same licensing board over in Charlotte. Like,
no, it'd be different.
Okay. So, that was the real estate licensing board where she surrendered her license for like mere 2 years.
Oh, it was years.
Which I was like, at least that was 2 years. But the fact that she could even get it back after scamming people out of hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it was like, it's okay, take a break for 2 years, maybe learn something or don't. Like, go on a self journey or don't. It's fine. You can have it back. What?
Yeah.
What? There needs to be some permanent consequences. If you out here on these streets robbing people blind, you should be in jail. Not only should you lose your license, you should be in jail. I cannot believe some of these stories.
No. But also follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. We're at Chicks and Construction Podcast. On TikTok, we are at Chicks and Construction.
Yes, we want to hear from you. Please feel free to share your stories, like, subscribe. Maybe make a comment. Try to make it nice if you can. You know, if you can't, maybe keep it to yourself. I don't know. Live your best life. Some of you all are making some really insane comments, and I'm wondering if everybody's okay. So we'd love to hear from you if you have something nice to say. If not, maybe go to therapy. I don't know. Anyway, love you guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.